Preparing for Hajj, we are going to speak about the travel bug or travel diarrhea. Wa alaikum salam. When people undergo any type of travel to any foreign country, one becomes exposed to a different climate, different types of food, and because the pilgrims will be entering the area of Makkah, where there's a meeting of many nations, many cultures, there's overcrowding in certain places. So alongside the diversity of different people and food, we also find a diversity of microorganisms, those disease-causing agents that our bodies, once we encounter them, our bodies builds up a type of immunity to them. However, when we're exposed to new microorganisms, the body tries to expel them, and that can happen in a form of diarrhea or vomiting. So gastroenteritis, or the travel bug, it's a type of inflammation of the lining of the stomach, mostly the small and the large intestine. It's highly infectious and it's caused by pathogens like viruses, bacteria, or even parasites. So every season we will find that certain microorganisms are activated or spread in those seasons. So gastroenteritis is definitely linked to food poisoning or food that's spoiled due to incorrect hygienic practices, or just food that people aren't accustomed to. The symptoms would be nausea and vomiting. There could be a fever, decrease in appetite, diarrhea, which refers to the frequency of loose stools. There's abdominal discomfort, cramps. This can occur suddenly. It lasts for about 2 to 3 days maximum, and it's very contagious. It goes from person to person. It is self-limiting, meaning that it can heal on its own, depending on our immunity. The complications of gastroenteritis or the travel bug would be when there's excessive vomiting and diarrhea, and this can lead to dehydration, especially in a hot climate. This is mainly due to the loss of fluids and electrolytes. So it's very important in the young and the elderly that fluid should be replaced via oral rehydrate solution. You can even make your own oral rehydrate by adding 8 teaspoons of sugar and a quarter teaspoon of salt to a liter of distilled water and drink throughout the day. Increase the use according to the amount of stools. Recommendations would be to get bed rest, avoid excess sun exposure, consume plenty of fluids like the oral rehydrate or even energy drinks. Avoid a high fiber diet, which could actually worsen the strain on the digestive system. Instead, consume easy digestible foods like baked potatoes, rice, bananas, apples, white toast or white crackers, which are more binding. Avoid dairy and caffeine. In the case of mild diarrhea, just to use oral rehydrate would be fine. We should try to abstain from using medication that will block the system or prevent us from eliminating the bug. The body undergoes a process of diarrhea in order to rid itself of these microorganisms. Some tips for the Hujjaj: that beware of food poisoning. Good hand washing is essential. When coming to the new country, be aware that experimenting with new foods could come at a risk. So rather do this out of the Hajj period to avoid any discomfort while you're on your pilgrimage. Remember that food that's kept at room temperature for too long has the risk of being contaminated with microorganisms like salmonella, which is responsible for diarrhea. Be careful of the water that you consume. Rely on bottled water. And be aware of your food allergies. Don't take it for granted that food items overseas would have the same ingredients as the food back home. The following hygienic tips could help prevent the travel bug. Ensure that you wash your hands properly before preparing any types of food. Keep the food either hot or cold. Avoid room temperatures for too long. Do not refrigerate leftovers heated up and refrigerated again, because it can lead to contamination. If you have raw meat, freeze it. Ensure that when you cook meat, fish and chicken, ensure that it is well done. Never use the same cutting boards for both vegetables and meat. Contamination often takes place with the following kitchen utensils: cutting boards, cloths, towels. To wash them in bleach, decontaminate them. Avoid using bulging cans or cracked jars, rusted tins or other types of items, grocery items that are damaged. Be aware that processed meat can also be a possible contaminant.
Yo, Muslim.